Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, Jeff.
Woo!
We made it.
It's USC week.
Cougar football Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, after Saturday, the season will be 25% over.
Man,
How do you like to think about that?
I don't.
I don't know, do we?
Also,
I'm not sure.
The home schedule will be half over.
Yeah.
Well, not quite.
Almost 50% over.
Well, for me, it'll be half over because I'm missing the homecoming game to go to a wedding. But so for me, it'll be half of my trips to Pullman, which you just knock out right at the start.
Man, it's like raising children, man. It goes too fast.
My physical therapist asked me today, he's like, are you tired of driving? Are you not looking forward to it? And I'm like, nope, I'm still good.
Still okay.
Still excited.
I'm not looking forward to it tomorrow. I'm like,
no.
Okay, so obviously we're recording this Thursday night. More for me, it's that I can't really leave until like 4 or 4:30.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
It might even be as late as like 5, depending on how fast I get everybody out the door.
Yeah, that's when I left last weekend. So.
It's like I do not like, and so we're staying in Moscow. Like, I mean, it's going to be damn near 11 o'clock by the time. Probably will be 11 o'clock by the time I finally get to Moscow. So I'm like, that sucks. That part sucks, but whatever. I'll be happy on Saturday, provided I don't end up, soaked to the bone. So,
Well, that's what rain gear is for, man.
Yeah, I know. It's poncho season. Let's go. I'm going to be ponchoing it up. I'm a big believer in ponchos.
I usually just wear a rain jacket and call it good. But yeah, let's. This is Podcast versus Everyone.
Hey, it's Podcast versus Everyone.
USC preview edition.
That's right.
Episode 131. I'm Craig Powers. With me is Jeff Newser.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we're gonna all be there.
Yeah, it's gonna
Emma's
be very
gonna be
exciting.
There.
I know.
Flying in from Chicago.
Oh, so exciting!
It's gonna be cool. The rain won't really matter.
Well, like
we'll just have fun.
Yeah, I mean the forecast I looked at today, just now, like within the last hour, the rain starts so the light rain starts at 11, the real rain starts at noon, and then it tapers off by 3. I'm like, what the fuck? Like that's like exactly, and then it's like overcast starting at like 4. And I'm like, okay.
I'm always a big fan of the garbage bag over the legs. That's very helpful.
Yeah, I might have to. I'm like, man, either that or I'm gonna have to stand for 4 hours, which I've done that before too. So I don't know. I don't know, man.
Maybe if there's some empty seats around me, like there was last week, you can just mosey on over.
Maybe,
but I have a feeling there'll be more.
Bring my whole family.
For this one. Yeah.
Can you accommodate 5?
Well, we'll have to figure it out.
I have a feeling there's going to be more people in town on Saturday.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know. It's okay. I'm not going to whine too much about the rain. I mean, I work indoors all week. Little rain ain't going to kill me. So I'll be all right.
I know. How do you think it'll impact the game?
I don't think it will. I don't know.
Yeah, I think not, because it's not going to be like persistent rain all day.
Yeah.
So
the wind is what really gets you too.
Yeah,
the wind is what gets
you. It won't be soaked.
Yep.
It won't be saturated. So
yep. It does not seem like it's going to be stormy. Stormy is what makes it difficult. And, again, I don't know. I mean, which of the two teams relies more on trying to throw the ball? And I think at this point that's USC. So maybe I don't know. Maybe shitty weather benefits us. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking myself into whatever it is that will make me feel better.
USC runs the air raid, sort of.
Mostly.
Kinda.
It's
really hard when you can recruit running backs like they do.
I'm trying to remember who wrote this, and I'm drawing a blank. So whoever wrote this wrote it this way. I think this is a good way to put it. They said that USC runs a stylized version of the air raid, and I was like, that I like that. That works about right. So whoever said that, good job. I think that's an accurate description of what USC is doing down there.
So let's hop right in, as we always do, first with our offense versus their defense. USC's defense looked fine against San Jose State. They kind of got a couple fortunate turnovers, a missed field goal, so they ended up just giving up 7 points. But they gave up quite a few passing yards at a decent clip. I think it was like 6.5 yards a pass. They mostly shut down the run. But then against Stanford, they just got absolutely shredded. 10 yards a pass, 10.2 yards a pass. They gave up an 87-yard run.
Yep.
So big plays. So their defense definitely looks vulnerable, more vulnerable than it was last couple seasons. Because Stanford shred them. WSU has playmakers like Stanford that could make similar plays. So it'll be interesting to see how WSU can do against this defense, and because I think they're going to need to. USC has been decent against the run, but really, really bad against the pass. Like really, really bad. I used in my preview a stat called EPA this week, expected points added. It's actually a component of SP Plus, which is it's the explosive component. But you can't get those components broken down anymore from Bill Connolly. The ESPN doesn't bother to publish them. So I use another site called CFB Graphs, and they offer EPA only, which is interesting. Always interesting to look at EPA. Staying on schedule and stuff isn't measured in this. This is mostly about explosion. So they rank 119th in EPA per pass allowed. So they're giving up big plays, and it wasn't just against Stanford. They gave up a pretty decent clip against San Jose State as well. And these aren't opponent adjusted metrics; it's just raw metrics. And remains to be seen how good of passing offenses either of those are. But Stanford hasn't been that great recently. Maybe this new quarterback is pretty good. But anyways, he still put up 10 yards of pass on them, and I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, I was listening to Scott Van Pelt's pal Stanford Steve, right? He's kind of talking about the situation at Stanford, and so McKee apparently was a pretty highly regarded recruit who then went on a mission, came back, and then apparently is maybe a little bit more of a gamer, where maybe didn't look super great in practice, and that's why he wasn't starting. And then, apparently they felt, David Shaw felt he needed a little bit of a jump start with the offense, and so he made a swap at quarterback, and then all of a sudden this dude's like, lighting up USC. So, I'm not sure. It's I want to say like, I don't know, like I think it feels like USC should be better defensively. Mm-hmm. The thing that I think gives me maybe a little bit of hope is this. So the guy that they promoted to coach is their secondary coach. Their interim coach is their secondary coach. And they've already said like publicly in stories that like, he's been stretched awful thin, but we're sort of making it work. And I'm like, that's not the sort of thing that makes you think improvement is right around the corner. I mean, you can fire the head coach, but I don't know, man. I don't know that there is, much reason to believe that this firing is going to like suddenly change a bunch of fortune. So I don't think this is going to
Right.
immediately make their defense better. They're not. It's not like they've brought in a new coach or a new coordinator or something. I mean, it's just. It's. I think you make the move with Helton to get a jump start on finding his replacement. Like I think that's all. Literally, I think that's all that is. Right, is to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off because if they stay with Helton, they come up here, they beat us or whatever, and it just sort of like prolongs the process, right? If you've decided he's not the guy, okay, great, you get rid of him, but I don't think it does much for their results this season, unless Helton was somehow holding somebody back. But Helton's an offensive guy. It seems like Graham Harrell kind of does more or less what he wants. So I just don't see this as being like some kind of week when the defense gets a lot better. And if anything, I think there's a chance the defense gets worse when you've got a head coach, an interim coach now, who, has been pulled away from, his normal duties. And, they probably filled his spot with a GA. They probably elevated a GA, right? So, it's I don't know, man. This might be a prime candidate for a breakout passing game from Jaden DeLora.
Yeah, and so he was also not even a secondary coach; he was the passing game defensive coordinator. So
yeah,
maybe this is the time, and I think they'll need it. One interesting thing, USC has not sacked a quarterback yet this year.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild.
And San Jose State threw the ball a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they were behind the whole game, so of course they threw the ball.
So USC sacked. You remember last season, DeLore was under pressure a lot, and against USC, they got 4 sacks. DeLore was pressured into making mistakes a couple times. So if USC is not getting that same pressure and DeLore is not making those mistakes, WSU has a chance to move the ball. They have a chance to make explosive plays, with Borghi out of the backfield, McIntosh being steady, with Travell Harris, with Calvin Jackson Jr. They have a chance to make big plays in this game. And if they're going to do well, they need to. And hopefully this offensive line is getting its shit together and can block against USC's front line that San Jose State and Stanford have had success against, because it's going to need to happen. Because if DeLore gets time, if the results from the first 2 games are indicative, then there's going to be open receivers for him to throw to.
Yep. And
so come on, offensive line, give him some time.
Yeah,
let him look around a bit.
This would be a great time to follow up those second, third, and fourth quarters against Portland State by proving to us that the offensive line's actually got its shit figured out. I think that's what we're all rooting for here, right?
Right. So yeah, I mean, there's hope here against USC when WSU has the ball. I definitely think WSU could put up points. I don't think it'll be like the 13 points last year. I don't know how much you read into what Rolovich said about that it just being kind of, what did he say? It was intimidating for them, or
oh god.
Here, I'll let you say it because you kind of took him task on Twitter today.
I mean, basically, he said he didn't know how many guys on the team actually believed they could beat USC last year.
Oh, yeah. You said, last year there was a ton of guys who had already beaten USC, and a ton of guys who came within inches of beating USC.
Literally within a missed, personal foul targeting call from beating USC. If they had won that game, Mike Leach would have been 3-1 against USC. Instead, it was 2-2 with a near miss. And again, 2017, Jahad Woods was the guy who made the game-winning play, right, in that game. A lot of guys. Justice Rogers was in that game. I mean, lots and lots of guys played in that game. And then again, 2018, same
Liam
deal,
Ryan,
right? These guys were all in that. I mean, Travell Harris, these guys were there. And I think Calvin Jackson was there in 2018. So, to be like, oh, I'm not sure these guys knew they could beat him. First of all, that's bullshit. Because of course they do think they can beat them.
And Delora is such a, like we've talked about before, high confidence,
yes,
high hubris.
Yes.
Like I got to think that dude thinks he can beat anybody.
Yes. And
I think he got under duress early in the game, and that impacted him.
I think so.
But I don't think he came into the game
right.
thinking that, like, oh, we can't beat these guys.
I mean, maybe his confidence kind of got shot a little bit when he made a couple mistakes. I mean, I'd buy that.
Especially as a 18-year-old.
And I'd buy even that there maybe were some guys on the team who were sort of in awe of USC. Maybe newcomers, things like that. Okay, fine. But it's like to make a blanket statement that, the team was intimidated by USC is just such baloney. It's such baloney, and it's very frustrating. And I'm like, well, if they were intimidated, whose fault is that? Right? Like when he says things like that, I don't think he considers the full implications of what he is saying, which is like, well, that means you did a shit job of preparing them. You did a shit job of getting them to believe that they could compete because, and it's right up there with, he talks about how this year's team is so much more mentally tough than last year's team, and last year's team would have folded. I'm like, what the fuck? Like Mike Leach's teams were known for being mentally tough. Like that was like their hallmark was that they would be tough, and that's what Leach spent
every guy, and then you inherited all those
yes.
mentally tough guys.
Yes.
So what did you do?
Yeah, what did you do to him? I mean, Leach spent the first 3 years trying to drill the soft out of the guys. Like there's no, like that was like definitely a thing. Like this is like a way callback. You probably remember this. I don't know how many of our listeners do, depending on whether they were around in 2012. But in 2012, they had a thing on the sideline called the Rise Up board. Do you remember the Rise Up board?
Yep.
And I remember being just incensed at the Rise Up board. And the Rise Up board was this thing where basically they would keep track of basically consecutive positive plays. And like just kind of like, basically its most basic definition, right? And so they would count up, and it would be like, and it wouldn't even necessarily be like good plays, just like positive plays, like they did something positive on the play, right? Because Leach was trying to get them to buy into this, play the next play thing. Like, don't worry about the score on the scoreboard, just play the next play. And I remember I was like incensed about this, and I'm like, oh my God, moral victories. What are we doing? Might as well give them a goddamn participation, certificate. Like, what we're not worried about the score anymore? 3 years later, 4 years later, I understood it better. I understood what he was driving at. And I also saw what he's doing. Like, he's trying to create this, this singular focus, eliminating distractions and just being tough enough when things aren't going good to do well on the next play. Like, and if you can do that enough times, then you will be good. And so over, all those,
like, train yourself to kind of look past
exactly
the, your feelings.
Yep. So after all these years with Leach, I kind of understood all the things that he was doing to get his team to be mentally tough. And I'm like, okay, I totally made fun of it then, but I get it now. I get what they were doing. I still think it was sort of funny, but like, I get it. I get it. And I'm like, okay, so Rolovich takes over this program, and everybody agrees, including Rolovich, that they are well positioned to continue to be successful. And now all of a sudden we are like, oh, wait a second, no, we weren't tough last year, and I think we were intimidated by USC. I mean, I'm reaching a point now where I'm thinking, like, is Rolovich projecting his own feelings about things onto his players? Like, was he intimidated by USC? This guy who's literally never coached at a Power 5 level, like, was he intimidated by USC? Did he go into the game thinking, well, I don't know if we can compete with USC? Like, is that what happened? Like, I honestly don't know, because I'm like, the players were in games where they went toe-to-toe with USC and knew beyond a shadow of a doubt they were as good as USC. So what happened? What was the difference? So either, like, they're not like that, or you fucked them up. So which is it, right? And so, I mean, I don't know. It's all very frustrating. They're going to take them on this weekend. I mean, I don't even know how we got over here, but USC's pass rush.
I may have poked the bear a little bit.
USC's pass rush, it is surprising that they're not better, and hopefully our offensive line believes that they can.
Hopefully
compete,
they're still not better. Hopefully they're not going to be like, well, I can't stop this guy, so I'm just not even going
to. Yeah. Hopefully our offensive line or anybody else is like, I don't know if I can compete.
I don't know if I can do this, guy.
I don't know. USC's pretty good.
I mean, but let's switch over to the defense versus USC's offense.
You definitely poked the bear, man.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
You knew that
That's
was
what I'm here for.
you knew that was going to come spewing out as soon as you did that too.
Yep.
Yeah, you know me.
You're welcome.
You know me.
You're welcome, podcast listeners. Yeah. So let's talk about the our defense. Well, this is like the WCU's defense is full of upperclassmen.
Yes.
They should not have to worry about mental toughness or feeling too big. USC.
Yes.
Definitely the leaders on this defense have beaten USC. However, this is certainly not that 2017 defense that beat USC.
No.
And it's definitely not the 2018 defense that almost beat USC.
No.
And it maybe is closer to the 2018 defense that gave up a bunch of points to USC in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so USC's passing game so far this season has been far below Kidon Clovis's previous output. And then I kind of looked at it. His first, when he was a freshman, he was big plays, 8.9 yards per attempt. Then last year he was 7.3. So far this season he's at 6.1.
Yeah, 6.1
which
is
7 point. If you're running an air raid, 7.3 is right where you're at usually.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Anthony Gordon or 2014 Holiday or whatever, But like Falk was like around that usually.
Yep.
Even Minshew was just barely above that.
I'll bet though. I will bet that Graham Harrell is targeting something higher than that. Just the kind of air raid that he runs.
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely designed to be more vertical than Leach's, which is much more horizontal.
Yeah, what's very weird about this, their kind of production, when in WSU's air raid, no receiver ever put up too big of stats because the ball was spread around quite a bit.
Yep.
They put up big stats because WSU threw the ball 60 times a game, but they weren't there wasn't one guy getting 20 targets of those 60. However, with USC, half of their catches so far are by two guys.
Yep.
And a lot of the other ones are by running backs. So, that's pretty standard of the air raid. But so Drake London is the big scary guy. He got a pretty easy 92 yards against WSU last year. 6'5", 210, big boy, very tough cover. He's already got 16 catches for 205 yards this year, so he's already putting up big numbers. Because it seems like they're passed to him a lot. I wish I had target data, but yeah. So he has 16 of the 51 catches this year.
Wow,
like one guy.
That's a lot. That's a big share.
That's almost a third.
Yeah.
of the pass completions have went to London.
Yeah. He's a beast, though. Like let's be honest. If you had that guy, you would throw the ball to him as much as possible.
WSU never quite had. I mean, Patman was probably the closest physical presence to that, but Pat was about 3 inches short.
Yeah. Maybe Vince Maley. He was a lot shorter too, but similar kind of physical presence.
Yeah, Vince Maley probably is the closest physically, but London's even more athletic.
Well, he's much taller. Yep.
Much taller, but. I made this joke in a preview, and I got to make it here. So their offense basically is about getting the ball to the capital cities of major English-speaking nations, because
that's a good joke.
The other wide receiver who has double-digit catches is Taj Washington. He's got 10 catches for 103 yards. He just transferred. So we didn't play him last year. He just transferred in from Memphis.
Yeah.
So they got two guys, 26 catches, 51 total completions. Those two guys are also getting the big plays because, London's averaging about 12.5 yards a catch. Washington is averaging about, this is just, the main, the like target cities in an alien invasion.
Yeah.
Washington and London. That's always what happens. Have you ever seen Independence Day or Mars Attacks or whatever? So 10 catches for 103, so he's at 10. So if you look at those two guys, if you combine they're half of the catches, and they're well over combined 10 yards a catch. Everyone else is 6 yards an attempt. So what does that say? Maybe Slovis is being a bit inaccurate. maybe everyone else is just picking up little bits. So really, it comes down to like maybe you got to cover those two guys and make Slovis figure out how to pick up yardage with everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, if only it was that easy, right? Like, let's just
cover
these two guys.
It'd be easier if Jalen Watson is playing.
Yes, yeah, that is no doubt.
We don't know if he's going to be playing. His Twitter account has been
cryptic. Cryptic is the best way I could describe his Twitter account.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I haven't seen anything today. I know yesterday he said something like, "I've been through worse." And it's like
he said, "I ain't seen the sunrise since my dog died."
Was that today?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And yesterday,
is that like a lyric or something, or is he just? I don't know. I'm way too old to know.
So
that.
Yesterday, and then this must be a Bible verse, Jeff. You would know better.
That is true.
So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
Pretty sure that's from the book of Psalms. Yeah, I think. But yes, Bible verse for sure. It's definitely. So, you're right. Your Bible verse antenna comes.
My dog died. Ain't seen the sunrise since my dog died is a Lil Papa.
Okay, I was gonna say that's definitely not a Bible verse.
From the song "Dangerous."
Okay, all right.
But I don't think there's anything we can gather from this.
These cryptic tweets are killing me.
Yeah, you're killing me, Watt. Maybe his best tweet was just the rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Yeah.
Cry laughing emoji. Yeah. Right when
Helton got fired.
Yeah. But so if he plays, then you can probably at least mitigate London.
For sure.
I
mean, again, London is a 6'5" monster.
But that's why so I said mitigate and say stop. But at least if you can make it harder for him, make it so Slovis can't just lock onto him, that'd be huge. So if Watson plays, I feel better about that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play, I don't know any other corners on WSU that could even touch him, honestly.
No, like Jalen Watson, I mean, listen, I think we saw in the second half what happened when he went out against Portland State. Now you can chalk all that up to, whatever, backups or whatever. But, I don't think there's any doubt that Portland State started throwing the ball better when he left the game. So, whether correlation equals causation or not, I just know that he's really fucking good. And if he's not on the field, then our chances of slowing down USC diminish for sure.
He's our most impactful, best defensive player, most likely to be in the league, all that.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully he's healthy. Like I said on the last podcast, it sure looked like a stinger to me. It didn't look like anything else, but who knows? Who knows?
But just to remind everyone, he was in a sling in the second half against Portland State, in case you forgot.
Yeah.
So if USC, if somehow, WSU does stop them, I am pretty worried about USC's ability to run the ball.
Yep.
And they run the ball a lot more than you would think an air raid offense would.
And maybe more than they should.
Yeah. But it's been very effective. They're 18th in EPA per rush. Their two top running backs both average over 5 yards a carry. WSU has not played any sort of running powerhouse yet, and they are 68th in EPA per rush. So, you can be stressed out about that if you want. USC ran the ball pretty well. I mean, was the last year they didn't run it? I'm trying to think, but I think if USC runs the ball, it could be bad for WSU.
I mean, of all the parts of our defense that I am least confident in, the interior defensive line is at the top of the list.
At the top.
it's like interior defensive line, biggest concern. Everything else,
It's pretty. Linebackers okay.
I think our edge rushers are okay. Our linebackers are okay. The secondary is probably not okay, but at least it's got Jalen Watson. But the interior,
hopefully,
hopefully. The interior defensive line, though, to me is just, I think I said this on our last show, but it's just striking to me how small they are. I feel very confident that whatever they're listed at on the roster is an overstatement. Next to Portland State and Utah State, it was just like they just did not look like Power 5 defensive linemen, and maybe that's somewhat by design. I mean, our defense coordinator, Jake Dickert, he's been here for, a year and a half now. Maybe he wants, smaller guys. I honestly don't know. But they definitely do not look, the part of an interior defensive line, and USC's offensive line very much looks the part of a Power 5 offensive line. So, I don't know. We'll see. It could be, it could be what you said. Like USC's just like, yeah, we'll just, run the ball for 300 yards and call it a day. So I don't know.
Which I think they probably could. So please don't, though.
Maybe they won't.
Or maybe WSU will come out and just have one of those games when they just play their minds off. And
maybe.
Whatever. Maybe. So a lot to be worried about. It's funny that I'm less worried about USC's passing game. But also USC may be able to just when Des Bryant played Oklahoma State in Paul Wolf's first game, and Oklahoma State just threw the ball up to him down the field over and over and over again.
I was at that game. I remember being like, this is wow. I remember being hopeful and optimistic about the Paul Wolf era. And then I watched that game. And I was like, oh, wow. And then, watching poor, what was the defensive tackle's name? Paul Eichelberger? Eichel, is that right? Am I saying, yeah, I'm trying to, Matt Eichelberger?
Matt Eichelberger.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, he looked like a pear on a couple of toothpicks. And I'm like, we are so fucked. We are so fucked. So I'm hoping that's not the case on
Matt
Saturday.
Eichelberger is.
There we go. Guy. All right, God bless him. He got a scholarship and I didn't. So let's be.
It's a 3-star.
Yeah, let's be honest about what he accomplished in his life versus what I have. But it's like, Saturday could be that sort of deal. I am really curious. We've talked a little bit about the impact that switching coaches might have. Clay Helton was an offensive guy, so I don't know how much influence he had on, what Graham Harrell was doing. But, even if it was just a little bit, like you wonder if Harrell sort of, kind of does something different or calls a little bit different game. You also wonder if, now that you've got an interim coach, right? So he's, I would assume, far less likely to step in and intervene in the offensive game plan than Helton would have. So, does that make a difference? Like I'm legitimately curious. I've kind of waffled back and forth. I guess maybe this sort of leans into making our picks, but like I've really waffled back and forth on whether this, makes them better or worse. And I honestly think I'm kind of talking myself into worse. That they will end up being even a little bit more of a shit show than they were before. I'm looking for reasons why they're going to come out with their hair on fire and light the world up. And I'm really struggling to find good reasons to believe that.
All right. Well, fine. Let's do picks then. We're about that time.
Okay, fine.
We've that time. And as always, you go first.
All right. Let's see. What's the line? It was.
It started at 10. It's come down.
Came down
to like
8.5
pretty quickly. I don't know where it's at now.
I still like USC to cover. I say all this to think, maybe USC gets a little worse. And so that means maybe USC beats us by 10 instead of 20. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go USC 30-20. USC 30-20.
USC 30-20. So
yeah.
All right. So yeah, my head says something like USC 38, WSU 27. But, it's been a good day. I'm excited to see you and Emma and Pullman and all your kiddos.
And
Sarah.
your mom rang the bell today.
Well, Jesus, dude, I wanted to say that, but fine.
Sorry, I
Yes,
couldn't contain it anymore.
My mom finished chemo today. I'm very excited for her. I was in physical therapy, and she left me a voice message, and I was getting ice, and I was just sitting there on this. So I was looking at my phone, and I was trying not to cry on the little bed or on the little thing while I was sitting there icing my Achilles, and then because then I would have to explain everything, and I don't want to do any extra talking to people.
Why are you crying? Well, you see. Yeah.
Well, you see. But yeah. So I'm feeling good vibes. So my heart says 38-27 USC, but what my pick is going to, of course, be 30-27 Cougs. Let's go Cougs. Let's do it. Let's keep the vibes going. Let's go. That's the only score that matters against USC and Pullman.
That's right.
So let's go 30-27 Cougs.
I love it. And they are wearing all anthracite, right?
Yeah, all anthracite.
We're running it back. We're absolutely running it back. I love it.
Jahad Woods is still here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Jahad Woods going to do a sack fumble at the end of the game to seal the victory. I could feel it.
It's going to be exactly the same. Yeah.
Everything will be the same. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you want to follow me on Twitter, follow our weekend, because I'll be tweeting out them pics.
Hell yeah.
At the Craig Powers. Also on Instagram at Craig W. Powers. You can follow Jeff's rantings at Pod versus Everyone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
At Pod versus Everyone for all the centrist rantings you want.
Yes, very, very, very centrist. Yeah.
Right down the middle.
Right. Right down the middle.
And thank you to Randy England at Randy England Music for the music as always. And if you want to send us an email with a question or comment at podcastvseveryone@gmail.com. And that's it. That's all. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. And of course,
get fucking vaccinated.
Get fucking vaccinated.